Welcome to the Joy of Connecting, where modern professionals share stories of meaningful connection and how it can increase business success, unlock career growth, and create personal happiness. If you like what you hear today, get even more by following the Joy of Connecting on LinkedIn and subscribing to our newsletter that features tips from experts on how to network and connect with more meaning. Welcome back, audience. You know that time when you finally get to meet someone in person and it feels like you've actually known them for a while? That's who I've got here on the podcast with me today. Just this past year, I got to meet our guest today, Jason Yarborough. I'll introduce him a little more in a second. And it was like actually meeting the person that I expected to meet. He is someone who shows up in his online presence and his podcast presence in a way that makes you want to get to know him more and a way that builds these connections, which we're here to talk about. Thanks for being here today with us, Jason. You are co-founder of Arcadia, a man who is a head of partnerships in so many ways. He's a partnerships thought leader. Thanks for being here. Tell us, I'm going to tee you up for this. Tell us a little bit more about what you do, but also who are you passionate about helping?
Absolutely. Thank you for that wonderful intro. I feel like I've been just verified in everything that I'm trying to do in my life. Like I said, I'm co-founder of a company called Arcadia, where we essentially started this company to help partner programs build, scale, and operationalize, and how we can help go-to-market teams better understand how to build these partnerships and partner programs that are fully integrated into what they're doing on a daily basis. So they're not isolated, siloed organizations. And kind of what that's turned into now is like doing some fractional leadership for a company called NAC right now, which I'm loving. It's a great company. Doing some other consulting and advising work outside of it. But alongside that, my wife, Sam, and I, also my podcast co-host, we started a thing called the Arcadia Leadership Experience, where we bring this year 75 go-to-market leaders and partner leaders out to Bozeman, Montana for a fully immersive experience for 3 days in Montana in the summer, which is the most glorious time to be in Montana, as well as Alaska. And so we bring them out here, teach them how to fly fish, do some hiking, yoga, have some thought leadership sessions, and like kind of really get into some conversations that we feel are most helpful for you to become the human you're meant to be, as well as the leader, not only from a program perspective, but also from your team's perspective. We want to help the whole person do life better. So which is Arcadia at its core means harmony. So we're trying to help people establish harmony within their lives and their careers.
I think that's the thing that catches it is the harmony, but also like I was thinking when you were saying it, really just the human at the core of it all. And that's, like you said, that's how you show up online. It's how you guys approach your whole podcast. By the way, listeners, their podcast is called Friends with Benefits, and Jason hosts it with his wife, Sam. You bring a human perspective to really heavy, like revenue-focused topics for these professionals and how they show up as managing their teams. Like these are, tactical, heavy business things, but it's all starting with the human. And that's obviously, I very much respect that about what you do. I'd love to hear from you, like kind of a short story about a time when those human relationships, the attention to building real meaningful connection led to, one of these business outcomes or maybe even not a business outcome if you choose, but something where those core human connections really drove something, impactful, like beyond just a nice meet.
At my core, I'm really driven and motivated by helping people. Partnerships became like the way that I can help a lot of people and within a business construct, as well as get paid for it and kind of be a facilitator of relationships. So like a lot of what I do is driven by that. But I will say, like, whenever that COVID thing hit back in 2020, I started this thing called Coffee with Yarby. Just a way for people to have conversations with someone now they were locked down remote. Most people weren't used to working remote. I've been doing it since 2006, so it was a second nature for me. And I was like, you know what? There's a lot of people I talk to that are struggling. I'm going to open up my calendar for folks that just want to have a conversation with another human. So I put this thing out there, made this little graphic on Canvas, like Coffee with Yarby. I was like, this feels like the most egotistical, ridiculous thing. No one's going to sign up. And what happened was for 3 weeks straight, my calendar was booked solid with these coffee chats. And I was like, oh, wow, people need some human contact or something. So after that, I kind of scaled my calendar down to be just an hour a day instead of all day because, I had to work. And what I began to realize I didn't see out of this is like, it wasn't just about like connecting because we were on lockdown, but people needed real help. People needed help understand how to build their partner programs. But more importantly, there was a lot of layoffs during that time, and people needed help
Mm.
finding their next job. And so this thing became something around like, how can I help you kind of meet the next person or meet the next role? What I was calling like, let's help make the circle bigger for everybody. So let's have these chats. Whether I can maybe I can help you, or maybe I can introduce you to the next person that can help you to make your circle bigger. And I was able to introduce quite a few people to a lot of different roles and jobs. Quite a few landed jobs as a result. And I've now done over 200 of these coffee chats, and they're one of these things that I just absolutely love and I adore doing, and getting a chance to talk to so many people, and it's gotten the chance to make my circle so much bigger. Like now, people that I meet and talk to are, I would say, primarily like I've never met before. Like somebody tagged somebody in the post, or they saw it because it got shared, and they were like, "Hey, I grabbed some time because like I'm looking for a job, or I need help." Or I just had one the other day where someone was like, I want to get into partnerships. Can you tell me how you navigated that and how I can do the same?" And so kind of offering my advice and service. So, but helping people land jobs and get those interviews has been like the best thing that I've experienced out of those things.
Mm. I love your point about, I mean, so many people cringe at networking because they don't want to feel like they're asking something of somebody else. But so many times the output is actually another introduction. It's not even, I sat
Yeah.
down with Yarby and he gave me something. It's, I sat down with Yarby and he put me together with somebody else who
Yep.
was a fit in some way.
I do this thing after every call. I'm like, okay, either it's I ask them, or I kind of have this instinct of like who should be introduced. Is like what I call connect it forward. So how can I
Yeah.
connect you to the next person,
Yeah.
regardless of if it's a job or what? But I want to connect it forward to keep it going for you.
That's amazing and perfect. And I love that strategy. I mean, in all of these calls, you've probably learned a lot about how you also make those connections. What's one piece of advice? We're all going to be connecting it forward because that's critical. But
Hmm.
what's one piece of advice that you would give to someone who maybe isn't as naturally excited to be doing this as you are, or who's trying to kind of get into the spirit that you're talking about?
Yeah, I learned when I was an intern out of college. I had this guy who was a really great networker and kind of taught me the art of networking and connecting as well, and the purpose behind it. He taught me to always come prepared. Reach out, like who do you want to learn from and grow from, and make the ask with a purpose. But then when you get that time, come prepared. Know what you're going to talk to them about. Ask the questions, especially if you're booking time with somebody who's busy, or running a large team or department or company or something. Like, make that time worthwhile, and like do your work or research. Know what you're going to talk to about, and even down to like there's times I've got a Evernote or a notes thing full of just questions that I like to ask when I get in some of these calls, that I can just pull from at random if I want to. And I still do that before I get on calls that I've never met before. I did
Yeah.
that with a partner not too long ago. And so you want to come prepared, and makes the time valuable for both parties.
So good. Well, let's jump into that one then. What is one of your favorite questions to ask in a call like this? Not obviously a specific one of a specific audience, but are there certain questions that you like more because they kind of unlock discussion?
The questions tend to change and rotate, I think, depending on the season of life that I'm in or what I'm finding I'm doing. I've been trying to do some more coaching these days, and one of the things I'm big on is like, what's a challenge that you've taken on recently that you're excited about?
Mm.
And
So,
I think that solves a couple of things, right? It finds ways for them to talk about something they're passionate about, and also like let you find a way that you can help keep them accountable to something.
mm,
So yeah,
that's a great point. You can circle back on that one.
yeah, hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
how's it going with that? Reducing screen time, or how's it going reading that book, or running that marathon, or whatever it is. Like, how's it going building that GSI program? I mean, it's
Yeah.
Global Systems Integrator, but can check in on those things every now and then to see, for those of you that truly care about building your network and making your circle bigger, like for that
Word.
follow up and checking back in on people, it truly matters.
I think that's really neat because it is not just opening up one discussion. It sets you up for another one, which is a very compelling
Yeah,
way to ask a question. That's excellent.
keeps you in their corner.
It does. It does. Now, you've built so many direct relationships with yourself, but you're also doing the work with Arcadia from this more community perspective to help others build those relationships as well. What do you see happening in the world right now that you think is really sparking connections? Because I know you mentioned, like we talked about the COVID dynamic, right? Having to do these connections over Zoom. Is there any other area that you're looking at right now where you feel like connection is really happening well?
Yeah, what I'm learning and finding is like, and this kind of is at the root of Arcadia, but I don't want to talk about Arcadia, but it's people are missing that human dynamic, that human element. And what I mean by that is like, how do we really get into the person that's in the community and not so much the work they're doing? And I find that when I get in some of these circles where we start really getting into like the person, like was part of a men's group called Every Man, and like we really get deep into some
Mhm.
conversation around who you are as the person. And I think some of those circles and communities, as you start to find those veins within there, like when you start to really highlight, like, let's talk about you, like what are you dealing with, like what are you challenging yourself with, and like
Yeah.
that's where you start to see people really kind of spark in a different way. That's kind of what I'm chasing right now. Is like, yeah, I want to serve this B2B, B2C community, the go-to-market community, but like I want to see a different spark inside of them from like that human element. And how can I tap into that and let them know that they're seen for more than just like what they do in their professional life.
That's well said. That spark could be a campfire. We could be roasting marshmallows over a campfire in Montana. That's what
Exactly.
I'm thinking when I
Yep.
use the spark.
100% in July.
Okay, last main thing, and you talk to so many amazing people. This might be a hard one for you, but who would you want to shout out as someone who's just a great connector, someone who does it really well that we should be looking for inspiration from?
I reference, not everybody knows, but Scott Leese quite a bit. I've learned a lot from him about, networking and tapping into the power of LinkedIn and being able to expand that circle and make it bigger. Our boy Antonio Caudadad is another great one. I'll shout out a couple, right? Jeremy Casperson, I think he's doing a really good job. He's an up-and-comer in partnerships at UKG. And then I'll shout out the guy I referenced earlier, like this guy Nathan May. He's not known in the B2B space, B2C space, but he's a former like leadership guy, now kind of doing some chief growth officer stuff and building some leadership communities. He is one that's I think is a master networker, community builder, communicator kind of guy. And find him on LinkedIn, Nathan May. Tell him Yarby sent him.
I love it. I love it. Well, before I let you go, where else can people find out more about what you're up to?
I share a lot on LinkedIn. That's a good place to check it out. I'm just LinkedIn, Yarby, Jason Yarborough there. If you want to check out what we're doing from Arcadia, ArcadiaLeadershipExperience.com. We just announced all the new dates, early bird pricing, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, we're going to make sure that people are listening to this episode before, because if they get hooked, we can send them right on up to Montana for a little fly fishing and connection.
That's right. Absolutely. A little campfire connection. Get that spark.
Get that spark. Well, thank you so much for joining today. This is really fun to pick your brain a little bit. I get a lot out of it, not just the audience.
This is awesome. Love the short and sweet format. This is great.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a review to help us reach more listeners. Have a story of your own to share or know someone who should be on the show? Visit www.joyofconnect.ing and let us know. Now go send a short message to someone you've been meaning to connect with. You never know where it might lead.